Hello, my beloveds, and those watching, and all of you out there. I'm alone tonight. Uma had something unexpected come up, and as we are committed to showing up here every Monday, I'm here. I'm Kelly Bonsall, and here with Creative Musings to discuss creativity and how it can shape and transform and cause us to have more questions. And it is those questions that I have been curious about lately, not necessarily seeking the answers, but really being curious about the questions that arise. And oftentimes things kind of come up during the weekend or our Mondays that spark and let us know that we have a good topic for this evening's conversation. And it was interesting because today I kept thinking about it, and there was just not a one thing that was really standing out. And then Uma sent me a message saying, what are you thinking for tonight? How about how did she say it exactly? I want to look it up. What does the muse, what's the call of the muse? And we talk about that a lot in intentional creativity. What does the muse want? If you're making a painting, what's the next thing the muse wants on the painting? Listening to her. And for me, the muse is my intuition, my inner guidance system, the divine, coming through me in a way that I can understand and turn it into something, whether it's words, language, or art, or even just a question, as I was just saying. And I had kind of been in that same thought process too. And so we'll see what comes up today. And Uma may make it on at some point, and she may not. But I see that there is one lovely person here watching. And so if you want to join in, let me know who's here, and we can converse through the comment and speaking. But if not, you can just listen to me rambling on. And any of you who catch this later, this recording, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to us to have just you all witnessing us, and we hope that there's some little bit of what we share that that sparks a question for you. So I had to pick a reading because that's usually how I kind of ground myself. And I chose a reading by Mary Oliver, and there's so many beautiful things by Mary Oliver, but this particular one, I remember the first time it was shared with me, and I had heard Mary Oliver, and I think I'd probably heard most of her popular stuff, or like Wild Geese and some quotes from her. Hi, Greer. I'm so glad you're here. And anyway, and so when this one was read to me, it just like hit me so powerfully that I just immediately started looking at more, and have since read a lot of Mary Oliver. But there was something about today and just where my mind's been and my energy level that made me want to read this one. And it aligns also with things that we've been talking about in here, just allowing for this time of rest. We talked about last week just how you can soften and find that pause, and that there's power in that softening, that it doesn't have to just come from the go, go, go. And I had a really lovely weekend with my kids, and we did things, and we got a little bit productive, but we also just played and relaxed, and it felt really good. And I just am really enjoying that space. And there's also kind of an underlying touch of melancholy that is, I don't know what it's from, probably from a lot of things, and it's just sort of, like, simmering there, and so I know enough now from the work that I've done and what I've discovered through intentional creativity that, I know to listen to that and be curious um, and and be gentle. So, long intro to the poem that I'm gonna read to you from Mary Oliver from the book A Thousand Mornings, and, this is called Today. Today, I'm flying low, and I'm not saying a word. I'm letting all the voodoos of ambition sleep. The world goes on as it must. The bees in the garden rumbling a little, the fish leaping, the gnats getting eaten, and so forth. But I'm taking the day off, quiet as a feather. I hardly move, really. I hardly move, though really, I'm traveling a terrific distance. Stillness, one of the doors into the temple. I love her too. And like I said, I heard that poem a while ago and I've read it many times since then, but I haven't read it in several months. And it's like it just took on a whole different meaning just even reading it this time. Just that last line of stillness, one of the doors into the temple. And I think that that is something that I am really searching for is that door into the temple that is my existence and from my body, which we hear a lot that like our body is our temple. This is where our soul resides. This is where we live and taking care of it, and all of this to like the temple that holds like my purpose and my calling. And I've been kind of asking myself lately, like, what question am I here to answer? Like, and there's probably not just one, but I know that I'm on a path that's leading me towards my calling, towards my purpose, towards the work that will contribute what the gifts that I have to contribute. Um, but I also feel sometimes a little lost. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to do. And like when we paint and we put all the colors together and it's like so fun and there's so many colors and then we keep working it and we keep working it, we keep working it and it gets a little muddy. And that mud is beautiful too. But, you know, that's how I feel right now is that like there's so many things and so many colors I've been putting into the mix and I'm not being patient. And Greer, I'm sure you'll know this as a painter, that like you have to be patient to let some of those layers dry before you add the next pop of color or that really bright white that you want to stand out. And, when I'm not patient with painting, I feel like, it gets muddy and I have to step away and I'm kind of having this, this analogy to what the having too many things happening in my life at one time or trying to do too many things to get me to this like to enter the temple is making things a little bit muddy. I see you. Uma Joy is here. I'm going to let her in. And Greer, yes, I hear you. I also feel that wanting it to be beautiful immediately. Absolutely. Welcome. Yay. I'm so glad you made it.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Greer is on here with us and she says hi. I don't know if you are seeing the comments right now, but
I don't see the comments. No.
I think if you go to the top and it says like private chat or private comment or seek anyway.
Aha.
So we were talking about, or I was talking about, and Greer was engaging that when we have so many things going on at one time that we're trying to like put all together into this beautiful expression or gift to, you know, the world or our purpose, that sometimes it can get a little bit muddy. And that's similar to painting, that when we try to do too much and not let the layers dry and give ourselves pause to just kind of let it settle and dry, then the paint can also get muddy. And I
Yeah.
had shared the poem Today by Mary Oliver, and was talking about just feeling that need for a little bit of rest and pause and softening. Like I'm still there. You know, we've been talking about it for a few weeks, and I definitely still am feeling that. And I'm grateful that I'm able to listen to that a little bit better. And, you know,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think that that's such a huge thing for many of us right now. The conversations that I keep being a part of or that I'm noticing around me is, it just really is exemplifying that we've got to start pausing. There's just so much chaos happening, and it just keeps going like that. And I love the analogy that you just gave about, whether it's in life or on the canvas, just pause and let it settle. And that's part of why I was late tonight and not even knowing if I was going to be able to show up. There were so many things that were happening that none of it in my control. And so I needed to just pause and let those things happen rather than reacting and going down where I didn't need to go.
Yeah.
So, perfect, perfect thing to walk into.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was sharing at the beginning that I had a weekend, long weekend with the kids, and we just played and we rested and we just chilled and we got a few things done, but I could hear the voice like being like, "You should do this. You should take care of this." Like, "Why are you just still in your pajamas?"
Yeah.
And again, I think, at the time I was feeling like, and I was also sure if there's a little bit of like melancholy underneath kind of like all of this, but it's okay. It's nothing, um, but I felt like now that I can realize that I heard the voice and I acknowledged it, the little critic voice, and was able to not let that overtake the enjoyment of relaxing. And um I think that that's progress.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hi, we have another D. Hi, D. Welcome. I don't know if you just joined us, but I mean, you gave a little wave. So we're talking about rest and stillness and how we can remind ourselves how necessary that is. Mm, I love that one, Greer. Not to shit all over yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Many of us are very good at that.
it's I think that if you live in this culture, I mean, I think unless you were raised in some kind of situation that really taught you early on, I think we all have work to do around that. And I think you can get through without having that little should voice. Um, and good night, Dee. Thanks for popping in. You can watch the recording over on our Facebook page if you want to catch the rest of it tomorrow. Sweet dreams.
Mhm.
um, and it's a real hard beast. Those shoulds to overcome.
There's a lot of pressure on it. There's really a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, and yet there is, I mean, I noticed that showing up for me, getting less and less caught by those shoulds. And there's been lots of years to practice that, but um I think it's really in truth, only in the last few years that I have really noticed that and letting go. It's like, you know what? Should, by whose standards, you know? And so that's one of the things that I really like about Yes Pause, and, you know, connect with what's going on inside, taking the time to really get to know ourselves and our consciousness, as opposed to being in the default settings all the time. I should
Yeah.
do this, I should do that, blah 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 blah. Blah. So yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even to the point where, yes, I hear that too, Greer. So much to wanting to do, so little time. I fall into that all the time. Sometimes where it's like paralyzing, where you're
Mhm.
like, I can't do anything. Um, but thinking of like creative process, this is like when I get on that edge, right? And I was talking with someone about this weekend. The edge of like, when are you doing the should and the feeling of I'm not enough and I should be doing more and all that? Or when are you feeling the muse like calling up and saying, okay, it's time to pick up the paintbrush. It's time to open up your sketchbook, do a process, or do the care thing that like get out of the bed and go outside and take a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
It's like sometimes I feel like I'm on the edge, like part of me feels like, oh, I'm comfortable in bed, like this feels really good, and part of me is like, but there's this other thing, and is that just you
Mhm.
know that confusion.
So what if we open to that concept that this is what's calling me, as opposed to, well, I should do this, the voice inside says I should do it, versus the voice inside is calling me to pick up the paintbrush. And with that, it opens up the possibility of joy. Because when I should do it, there is a piece that tends to block the joy feeling with it. Now, I can possibly get there still, okay, well, I should clean the house. And getting into it, yes, I can end up finding joy in it and being happy. Wow, this is really awesome. I feel this freshness, this energy moving. And so the joy can arise. But if I'm called to clean, then I can start it out and be open to that joy in a much more easeful space.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I was thinking when you first started speaking was that sometimes I think it's a calling, but I'm just really resistant. Like, no, I don't want to pick up my paintbrush, even though I think it's a calling. But like I did have a few moments this weekend where, and I hope you can still hear me because you were frozen a little bit. But where I was cleaning and I was so enjoying it and I was organizing and it was just like, and it just sort of, I just sort of like danced into it or whatever. Just like, it wasn't like okay, it's on the to-do list kind of thing. And so it's interesting just to feel like that, something that's not like a joy practice. I don't love cleaning. Some people may, I don't. Um, but I found myself really enjoying it because I didn't make myself do it. I wasn't like, okay, this weekend we're going to get all this stuff done. It was just kind of like, oh, look at this area that looks like it needs some care. I feel like giving it that care. And so like what I'm hearing from what you just said is um that we kind of know when it's a calling, and even if it's a calling towards something that sounds beautiful and amazing, we think it's a calling, but it may still be like that. You should really go out and enjoy the sun today, when sometimes it's like, I wish it was cloudy and rainy so that that wasn't, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we're getting close to our time here. And Greer, I'm so glad that you popped in. And I hope that you can make it to one of our Thursday um, Creative Musings classes. It was so fun to have you there, when you were able to make it. Nice, an enjoyable cleaning stint, yes. They're
I'd rather paint.
usually short, and I think that's the key to keeping them, like, short,
Yeah.
and yeah. Um, and I usually end up veering into, like, my creative space, like, "Oh, and what needs to happen here? My pencils could use, like, color coordinating." That usually
Mhm.
makes me
Yeah.
happy. But, back to Thursday night, so we are having our creative, musings, and, we would just love for anyone feeling called to, um, to be there. And, if you are concerned about the cost or the time, we do also offer a recording of it if you can't be there live. But reach out to us. You can message us through Facebook here, or just put a comment that you want to chat, and we can reach out to you. And we'd love, love, love to have you join us, because a lot of this stuff comes from the practice that we do on Thursday. That always turns into a joy practice of calling, and so anyway, we pray
To answer your question, Greer, it's 7 o'clock Mountain Time, so 6 Pacific, 8 Central, and it generally lasts for an hour and a half.
Where are you, Greer? Remind me which time zone you're in, and we can tell you exactly if you're still in there. Or comment, and we'll get back to you after the Florida. Okay, so for you, it would be 9 o'clock p.m. Thursday at 9 p.m. So it's kind of late, but it's worth it. Good way to go to bed. All right. Well, it was
All right.
lovely to be with you all, and so fun, Ger, to have you in the chat. And Dee, thank you so much. And anyone watching our recording, feel free to comment. We check these because it's so fun to see how people respond, and we are grateful for you and appreciate it. So,
All
mwah,
right.
much love.
Uh-huh. Nice to be here.